Dawn is a wet thing here. Breath turns soft in the air, and dew sits heavy like an apology. A gloved fingertip parts a crescent of grass, and something bright peeks. Denser, younger blades, almost emerald against the chalk. Listen closely now. What did the earth keep when we left the fire? Something small, something stubborn, something that remembers footprints long after the boots are gone.
Hello, I'm Sam Nang, and you're listening to Nature's Dread. Find a dark place if you can. Headphones help. But if you're driving, let this be a passenger in your ears. Tonight's story is called Green Ring. It begins with a volunteer who notices a detail most people would walk past: a crescent of greener grass, a thin ring of mushrooms, a smear of charcoal where a camp once warmed the night.
Our person is practical and patient, trail volunteer, the kind who folds maps with care and writes notes in the margins. The ridge itself is ordinary on maps: chalk soil, wind-scrubbed, used by weekend groups and sometimes by people who come and don't return the same way. Camps leave marks, charcoal flecks, flattened grass, but this was different. Crescents, repeated, like commas left to punctuate a route. The first discovery felt almost apologetic. Just a small arc of green, denser clover, a fringe of fruiting fungi hugging the outer edge. The volunteer crouched, turned soil with a stick, and found a thin black smear: charcoal. At first, they rationalized it: an animal wallow, a patch of better drainage, a gardener's afterthought. But then another crescent appeared, and another. Same order, same orientation, along a forgotten spur of trail. What could sketch the same pattern twice across seasons? What exactly was the land keeping? This is where the pattern begins to feel like a language. Photos, GPS points, months of notes. Suddenly, the crescents aren't random. They recur, like punctuation along a sentence the ridge has been writing. Dense grass where tents pressed seeds into the soil, phosphate-rich patches where fires once boiled pots, seed mixes washed out of packs and distributed by wind and rain. The volunteers' mapping started as a hobby and became, slowly, a ledger, an ecological ledger of human presence. I spoke with a soil scientist, a careful, skeptical voice, who told me that soil remembers in chemicals. Phosphate collects where people cook and wash. Charcoal binds with organics and can persist for decades. They said, "We can map hotspots, but we can't say with absolute certainty who made them. Soils move, water shifts, roots pull things away. Patterns are probabilistic, not definitive." That sentence, probabilistic, not definitive, keeps showing up when we ask the land for answers. A plant ecologist I spoke with leaned into the biology of the rings. Seeds from pack pockets, stray clovers tucked into boot treads, fungi that fruit where ash and organic cook-offs create a microhabitat. These are all little vectors. She said growth is a response. Plants don't know stories, they only know nutrients. If the soil says feast, the grass will answer. Simple line, devastating in its implication. The land replies in green. And then there was the search and rescue coordinator, the voice that keeps procedure in its pocket. They told me about how vegetation can become a lead when mapped patterns align with other evidence, when families press for answers. But they also warned, never treat a plant as proof. Treat it as a clue that needs corroboration. And never, ever disturb a site without the right team. That warning measures a tension that runs through this story: curiosity versus preservation. Here's where the volunteer faces a choice. A family calls. Someone missing years ago had been known to hike that spur. The crescents on the ridgeline line up with an old search grid. Hope pushes like sap. Do you tell the family everything you found? Do you publish the photos online and ask strangers to help interpret? Or do you step back, Document only what you can safely record and call in professionals trained to take samples with chain of custody and with protocols to prevent contamination. The volunteers sat with that question in the rain and decided to wait and to document, photographing from a distance, recording GPS points, and contacting the local park managers.
Then came the field test. Pre-dawn, headlamps stitched the world into cones. Insects hummed low, breath steamed. Trained technicians arrived, moving with slow economy. No sudden steps, no casual sampling. They used sterile coring tools, labeled vials, and kept a log. I retraced the crescents with them, feeling the hum of something fragile and important. For a moment, the ridge felt like a courtroom, quiet, serious, and exacting. The team ran phosphate strips, photographed context, and took notes for a lab that would not hand them easy answers.
The lab returned clustered anomalies, phosphate peaks, charcoal fragments, and unusual fungal assemblage. But the soil scientists' earlier caveat echoed: mobility of nutrients, seed vector ambiguity, the risk of false linkage. The map suggested a probable path, but not a culpable hand. The search and rescue coordinator recommended cautious interpretation, combine the vegetative signals with witness accounts, old permits, and other physical evidence before calling it anything more than a lead.
The community debate followed. Do you publish a map that might give families hope or spread false hope? Do you risk trampling sensitive habitats by encouraging amateurs to go look? Some argued transparency, others pressed for restraint. In the end, the volunteer and the agencies chose a middle path. The ridge's exact location remained anonymous in public forums. Tips were directed to officials, and the park issued a reminder: photograph from a distance, do not disturb, call professionals. It felt like a reasonable compromise, but compromise is a kind of grief. It asks you to hold both hope and doubt at once.
I want to be clear. Do not dig. Do not take a scoop just to see. Touching soil changes the story it kept. Disturbance can wash away trace evidence, contaminate samples, and damage fragile ecosystems. If you think you found something, photograph the pattern from several distances, note the time and weather, and contact local authorities or licensed search and rescue teams. The show notes will include guidance on who to call and what not to do. This is a line we draw to protect both the land and the people who depend on careful evidence. After the official work, after the polite reports and the maps with soft edges, there's the human residue. Families sleep with a different kind of quiet. Volunteers keep walking the ridgeline because curiosity won't be wholly silenced. The scientists publish cautious notes. The park posts a reminder about leave no trace. Life goes on, but there's a new way of seeing. Crescents in grass where memory gathers. The ridge reminds us that nature records us in ways we often overlook: meticulous, indifferent, and sometimes heartbreakingly informative.
And then the last image, a single charcoal-specked crescent set against pale chalk, small as an eyelash, like a footprint in green. It holds both possibility and silence. It says, someone was here. It does not say who. It does not tell the full story. That ambiguity is its power. Sometimes the land offers a ledger without a signature, and we must decide how gently to turn its pages.
If this story stayed with you, subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you find yourself wanting to help, pause. Photograph from a distance. Don't dig. Reach out to local park staff, conservation scientists, or licensed SAR teams. The episode notes have contact suggestions and resources on Leave No Trace and how to report potential leads responsibly. Thank you for listening with care. Your attention matters more than your haste. Are you still with me? Good. Keep that quiet curiosity. Until next time, check the corners.